Welkom. Welcome back to the video series on Dutch language and culture.
In this series, you will learn some basic phrases in Dutch that may be useful when traveling through the Netherlands or Belgium.
We'll start with the basics of Dutch pronunciation and the alphabet.
The Dutch language, like English and many other European languages, is written in the Latin alphabet. In Dutch, as in English, diacritics, informally called accent marks, are not very common. So let's read the letter names. Repeat after us. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M,
N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z.
So are there any letters that require particular attention?
Yes, the Dutch G sound can sometimes be difficult for learners, and it can vary according to dialect. In the north, where I'm from, it's harder, like this. And in the south and in Belgium, it's softer, like this.
Another letter that requires particular attention is the 25th letter of the alphabet. In Dutch, the Y vowel is not common and is mostly found in loanwords like yoghurt. Instead, one usually finds the digraph A, where the letters I and J are combined together to form one letter. This letter makes a diphthongal sound that can be difficult for some non-natives. It sounds like this. A.
Also, the U sound is more like the French U or the German umlauted U. The letter R may also be difficult for some students, and it can vary according to dialects. At the beginning of a word, guttural, like in French or German, or rolled, like in Italian or Spanish. At the end of a word, it is often English R.
Let's now take a look at some of the letter combinations that might be difficult for learners.
Besides the I that we discussed earlier, there is also the UI diphthong, which is pronounced like this, ui, ui. For instance, the sound is found in the words for out, uit, and the word for outside, buiten.
Another diphthong that might be difficult is the sound made by AU or OU, which is pronounced like this, au. It can be found in houden, which means to like, and goud, which means gold. Let's now turn to some useful phrases.
Let's start with greetings. Goeiemorgen, goeiedag, goeiemiddag, goeienacht. These phrases mean good morning, good day, good evening, good night.
Notice that in Dutch, the phrase good night, goeienacht, is usually reserved for the period immediately prior to when someone goes to sleep. Good evening, goedenavond, is more usual for any time in the evening prior to that. Another way to wish someone to sleep well is to say wel te rusten.
A more casual way to say hello is hoi.
There are also a couple of different ways to say goodbye or bye. These include dag and doei. Also tot ziens, which means something like until our next meeting.
Let's talk about introducing yourself. In Dutch, I would say ik heet Esther, which means I am Esther, which is more common to say than mijn naam is.
To ask for someone's name, you can say hoe heet jij if you are asking informally, or hoe heet u if you are asking formally. We'll talk later about when to use formal or informal address.
If you want to use my name is, you could ask wat is jouw naam or wat is uw naam.
Finally, after introduction, you can then say leuk, prettig, met je kennis te maken, for nice to meet you, informal, or aangenaam, met je u kennis te maken, which is more formal.
The usual way to ask people where they are from is waar kom je vandaan? Or waar komt u vandaan?
Notice here that the form of kom has an extra T in the formal address, but this is not present in the informal address. In Dutch, the form of the verb used for second person informal is different in a question than it is in a statement. So you actually say jij komt in a statement, but kom je in a question.
Your answer to this question might be ik kom uit de Verenigde Staten. I would say ik kom uit Nederland.
You could also say ik ben Amerikaan. Officially, there is also a female form, but it isn't so common today.
The last question for this slide will be where do you live? The way to say this in Dutch is waar woon je? Or waar woont u? The answer is ik woon in.
The last slide today will be talking about your studies or your profession.
The best way to ask students about their studies would be wat studeer je? Or wat studeert u?
And the answer is ik studeer, for example, ik studeer Nederlands.
To ask someone about work, you say wat is jouw beroep? Or wat is uw beroep?
And the answer is ik ben, for example, ik ben leraar, I am a teacher. You do not use an indefinite article before the profession title.
Thanks for listening to another module of Dutch language and culture.
Doei en tot ziens.